Sure.
And welcome back to the Rock Shop Podcast. Joining me today is a very special guest, and his name is.
Jamison Brawley. I've never been introduced as a special guest, but that is awesome. I am a filmmaker out of North Georgia, Ringgold, Georgia, which is just basically a suburb of Chattanooga, Tennessee. And yeah, I believe Ryan saw some of my work. He saw some of my work at a film festival, Sugar Hill Film Festival there in north of Atlanta.
Tell us a little bit about that short film, because yes, that is how I end up finding you.
Yeah, the name of the film is called Slideshow. It is set in the 1970s, and the sort of main focus is a slideshow projector. A couple invites some of their friends over for dinner, and back in the 70s and 80s, it was sort of a running joke that slideshow projections of your vacation is just terribly boring, and so they end up trapping their friends there to look at some Grand Canyon pictures, a trip to the Grand Canyon, and then some devilry occurs during that I don't want to give away.
I gotta tell you, I used to be a film festival judge for just a smaller festival. Um, and I've seen a lot of short films, I've seen a lot of indie films, what have you. Slideshow is terrific.
Thank you.
Like that was the best short I saw at that film festival.
Oh,
So much so that when it ended, like I just waited to see who directed it, and I immediately Googled your name and sent you an Instagram follow.
I've done the same thing at film festivals, and even sometimes I'll watch some movies that are maybe not blockbusters, but I'm like, I bet I could get a hold of the DP or somebody related to that. And we live in a world now where you can easily connect with people who, the writers, directors, and DPs, gaffers, or what have you. So I appreciate you saying that. Yeah, we enjoyed making it. My DP thought it was a cool choice to use some vintage lenses. So they're not 70s, they're early 80s lenses. Kind of hoping for that more warm, soft look like you might see in the 70s. And then we went with a 4:3 ratio. Um, Movies in the 70s were widescreen, but uh, I don't know, 4:3 just felt more vintage and retro.
Frankly, I like 4:3. I rarely shoot in it, do anything with it, but
Yeah.
it's very nostalgic. I love watching, like The Simpsons or something when you have, what is it, window block,
Yeah.
um, or what window boxing. They got to window box it. I mean, I think it looks great still. They're old movies that use that aspect ratio, and I think it's so intentional with framing, and I think it looks a little better, honestly, than
Mm-hmm.
a lot of widescreen formats. But that's a word I want to best describe slideshow is intentional because I think the direction is so intentional. The cinematography, a lot of things just work together to make a really effective short film. And I think that's a great mark of a director to, have mastery over different elements of that and have them work together. So, kudos to you. I mean, the framing, the color grading, the production design. This was a really professional piece of art. I'll tell you that much.
We had just shot, or about a year before this one, we had shot a 6-day short. Lot of moving parts, a lot of complexity in the story, lot of crew, and it was independent. I paid for it. It was something I wrote and I wanted to make. Um, and so we were coming from that, and it was so exhausting. So many setups, dollies, not gimbal shots, but sorry, I'm not a DP. The big thing that hangs over you.
Like stabilizers.
Yeah, yeah. But there's certain word for it, but anyway, handheld shots, different lenses. We had to black out all the windows for night scenes, and I was like, this one, I want to write something that's in one location. In fact, I want to write something that's in one room, and so that's what I did. And now when I go into writing scripts, you have to consider no one's going to buy your short script and make it. Stop thinking you're going to write an amazing short and someone's going to make it for you. you have to write your script with the intention that you're going to make it, and what can you afford. So don't write in elaborate monsters or elaborate skydiving scenes or underwater scenes. So that's what we did with Slideshow, and I told my DP I want this lighting to be as simple as possible, and we don't even need. I think the only shot that wasn't on like sticks was towards the end where the two men start fighting over the remote to the projector. That was handheld just to give the viewer a sense of sort of you know tension and instability. Um, but yeah, so all those shots are locked down, and and when I was drawing my storyboard, it was to the point where I would just leave some of them blank, and I was just like Wes Anderson. So my DP knew I want things symmetrical. I want things straight. I want things level. I don't want anything too artsy. Just give me something like Wes Anderson would give you.
Yeah, and I totally understand where you're coming from after watching it. That's an interesting question I had is you've never like directed a feature, right? You've never really done a feature, just only shorts.
Yeah, yeah. I've written a feature, two actually. I guess with the hopes that one day I'll figure out how that industry works and specking and options and selling and that sort of thing. But that's really like what I enjoy doing is writing and creating worlds and creating people and characters and situations. Um, but we are thinking about doing a feature. I just read Robert Rodriguez's book. I'm sure you have too, Rebel Without a Crew, and it was just really inspirational how was just he was just very lackadaisical about, yeah, I'm going to make a feature. Yeah, I've got one camera. I got this guy. I know this guy. And we oftentimes get so hung up in overthinking things and over researching on our phones and our computers and what's the right gear to use. And my DP had an experience at a cabin my family owns that freaked him out, and he just kind of in passing said to me, "Yeah, we should make a movie about that." And I thought about it. I was like, "Yeah, why not just make a 90-minute film? Why don't I just write a feature for it? Because I own the house. I don't have to worry about the homeowners. I don't have to worry about insurance. I don't have to worry about getting out in time so the homeowners can go to sleep. Um, I can write it so that it's one character for 90% of the film. I mean, we've seen so many films like that lately that are, set at a dinner table, or there's only one person, or it's in an elevator or whatever. So I just want to kind of get a feature out of my system. Robert Rodriguez says, well, no, he didn't say that. He quoted someone else who said, "You've got to make 10 bad films before you make your good one." And he disagreed with that. He was like, "Just make it, doesn't matter." But I'm sort of in the middle on that. I do think that, if I am going to make a feature, I don't want my first one to be like the one. I want to, again, get my yayas out. Quentin Tarantino called it film school. His film school was making films. He didn't go to film school. So I think that's what we're going to try in the next year or two.
Okay, because I was wondering, there's really not much of a market for short films. I believe uh, Prime Video Direct used to accept them until a few years ago. I guess they just didn't have the storage capabilities anymore to, hold all these thousands of short films that people were uploading. But what's your intention with the short film? Like, is it purely for the art, or is it for exposure, or like
Yeah.
why is that your art form you've been
Well,
working with?
I'm in my 40s and I've been wanting to make a movie, or I wanted to be a movie maker ever since I was a kid, but I didn't know what a movie maker was. Like, is it the guy who holds the megaphone? Is it the guy in the can with the camera? Like, who are all these people setting up lights? Oh, you need lights? I thought this was just daylight. So, as I grew older, I learned it takes a lot of money to make a movie, and I just sort of gave up on that. Like, okay, I'm not gonna make movies. It's fine, whatever. I'll work in video production, but I'm not gonna make movies. It costs too much. And then in my mid 40s, the bug kind of bit me, and I discovered some old scripts I had, kind of jotted down on my computer. I was like, I think I might explore this. And then I had a friend of mine who she had written several films and shot them, and they looked great. She's much younger than me, and I was like, why can't I do that? You know,
Yeah.
I mean, she's not like a gear nerd or gearhead. She doesn't know about cameras and lenses, and I don't either. So she was like, well, just write. And I said, yeah, but I don't know what font to use. I don't know the indentions, and I don't know how to lay out a script. And she was like, don't worry about that. Just get a piece of paper and a pencil and just write it out. And I did that. And it just started just like flow. But you asked about intentions. Yeah, I guess first and foremost, it is sort of a childhood dream. You know, I just want to make these movies. And I get these ideas in my head, and I'm like, boy, it'd be great if somebody make a movie about that. Oh, I'll just make one. I'll just do it. You know, um, so that's the number one. Like you said, it's the art. You know, just like a guitar player has to play guitar. He's not necessarily going to tour with Kiss, but you know, he's going to enjoy playing guitar. Same with a painter. You know, their painting may not ever be in a museum, but they have to do it. They have to paint, or they're going to fall into depression. So that's kind of where I am, where this is my creative outlet. I have to do it, or I'll die. And then I do hope that some exposure comes out of it. That would be cool if someone wanted me to write a script or direct a film or whatever. I mean, I have a friend in town. She's an actress, but she's always wanted to make a film. And like me, she didn't know what that meant. So she told me a story idea, and I told her, well, I'll write it. So I wrote, I think it was a 12 or 13 page short, and she's going to direct it. And I'm going to be the AD. So she's kind of got that, I guess, that safety net to fall on. And we're getting my DP and a lot of my crew, and we're just going to have fun with it. And it's going to be a film that she's going to direct. And she's a little nervous, but so that was that was sort of my next step is, I write my own films, I make my own films. Now I want to take someone else's story idea and see if I can write a script for that. Uh, I guess that's what script writers do. Take someone else's idea and make a script out of it. So yeah, I don't know what my future intentions are, honestly.
I think the big thing is you got the right idea. You got to go for it. The world is just your oyster, and movies. There's never enough money for them.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Um, it's unfortunately the reality we live in, but um, you look at some like El Mariachi, and definitely Rodriguez. Um, was very fortunate, and he didn't film in America where there's so many regulations about filmmaking. Down in Mexico. Um, I have the book. I haven't really read it. I've skimmed it, but wasn't it like he would just go to random people who'd go to like the police and say like, "Hey, you want to be in my movie?" They're like, "Yeah," and they
Oh
have like the badges and they have like the
yeah.
uniform on anyway. They don't care.
Well, and then the guns they used were not automatic machine guns, and so they would only shoot one bullet. And so he would film them shooting the bullet and then film someone else shooting a bullet and add in a repetitive sound. And so if you watch El Mariachi, and I've actually not seen it in a long time, but there's a scene where they're shooting a bunch of machine guns, and the way it's edited and the audio design makes you think, wow, these people are just hammering away on these machine guns. But it was, okay, reload, stop the camera, reload, all this mess, and then shoot again. Um, yeah, it was very unique how he did it. And his intentions were, I want to spend $7,000 on making this film, and then I want to sell it to the Mexican VHS market for 10,000. So I want to make $3,000. That's all he wanted to do, because the VH because he had watched Mexican films a long time. He's like, these are crappy. I could make better than this, and so he made one a little bit better, and he got more than $3,000.
Yeah, it was enough money to make Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
Spy Kids, yeah, Dustin
Yeah.
Braun, Desperado.
He is one of the most fascinating characters in the film world because, like, he'll make Desperado and Machete, and oh God, I love Sin City, man. And then
Yeah,
he'll make some like childish films too, which is cool. Which is cool. It's just kind of weird, like,
yeah.
you know what I mean?
Well, I think he wasn't in that filmmaking world. He didn't go to film. Well, he did go to. He went. Did he go to film school? He went to some college where he took film classes, but I don't even think he graduated. Um, but it's like Orson Welles. Orson Welles, his films were so groundbreaking for that time period, and they look so different from all other films. And an interview asked him, like, what do you attribute your fame and your style to? And he said, ignorance. I didn't know what a camera couldn't do. I would tell my cameraman I want it to look like this and have this, and I was lucky enough to have a cameraman who said, okay, I'll figure out how to do that. So I think sometimes the less you know about the rules, you're not held back by, oh, I shouldn't break that rule because that's never been done before. Um, and like with Sin City, I think that's sort of the same idea. Is no film had ever been made like that. He liked the comic book. He got permission from the artist to use his characters and make the film, and that was that. He figured out how to make it work, make it look cool.
Did you go to film school?
No, gosh,
I didn't either.
no. If I could go back in time to 1994, that's when I graduated. I fantasize about it all the time. That's when I graduated high school, and you think like I saw Pulp Fiction in the theater.
Wow.
That's how old I am. But I would have loved to have lived in LA during that time, even if I was like a dishwasher or something, just to be around that and, you know, possibly network with people of that era. But regardless, no, I got a business degree. And
Yeah,
now I'm,
same.
yeah.
But I mean, like you told me that once. And it kind of stuck with me. I don't know. Like I agree with you. Like, I kind of romanticize, being in the industry back then too. That would have been so cool. I mean, just the amount of talent that came out from the 90s, unbelievable. But I don't know. I think we're at a certain age where it's cheaper, more accessible uh, to create a film than probably ever has in history. I mean, those were the seeds for the indie movement we have now. We can break away from the studio system. Um, I think the big thing we have now that they don't have is just how many film festivals are out there, just how many avenues for distribution we have. There's no internet, no Tubi, no anything, and I think that's really something where it's easy to break out. Like even Tangerine. I don't know the budget on that. That had to be a lot of money. I don't know if you're familiar with that. It was Sean Baker's film, I think from 2015. It was shot on an iPhone 5, I think, and he used professional lenses, but
Yeah.
that was his big break, and then it led to Flora Project and then Anora. It's the Anora guy, but he just filmed that with an iPhone. Um, just ran around LA, and of course, you get attachments, and you'll have the stabilizer for that. But that was groundbreaking then. It's still crazy to think about now, like just everything we have and how much cheaper a lot of things are. Where like, yeah, feasibly you could film a movie on an iPhone. Probably won't look that great, but I don't know. Like, I'm pretty optimistic. I know, like, we live in really uncertain times, though, for sure. But if you want to make it, I don't think you necessarily have to live in LA or anything.
No, of course not. I think it's a two-edged sword with the accessibility and the ease and the cheap. How we can make a film so cheap. I mean, you've seen it. You've been to film festivals, and it's like there's a diamond in the rough sort of thing where it's like everybody can make a film. And I hate to sound like this, but sometimes it's insufferable. Some of the films you see, not in the major film festivals, but some of the smaller ones, it's it's like, okay, you could have bought one light, just one light. You could have put a lav on this person, and I wonder if all the Tubi, all the YouTube, all the different platforms has um, numbed people to what good cinema is, like what looks good. To especially like I feel like stories have just like plummeted. Like I can watch a poorly produced film if the story engages me. That's why I can watch black and white movies and still enjoy them because the stories are so engaging. But I think it just seems like everybody has, and I'm not a gatekeeper at all. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know. It's just I feel like we've become so inundated with content from everyone. Like I had people auditioning for this film that we're shooting in July who didn't even have they had done no prior films or TV. They just were big TikTok influence, not even influencers. Like, okay, you got, I don't know, 10, 20,000, like that's your audition is your online, your social media videos. And I guess people think that's, I mean, I guess it is a legitimate, I don't know. I'm getting off on a tangent, but I, I just feel like there's such a saturation now of films and I don't know.
I,
Sometimes at film festivals you'll see a short and it's like it's a fight scene. It's a huge fight scene, and by the time it's over, you're like, what was that about? Like you've already forgotten it. There was a police involved, there was a gun, there was a chase, but at the end of the day, I was like, oh, okay, that was two stunt fighters who just wanted to show off their abilities, which is cool because that's almost like this is my resume. I mean, if you're auditioning for a fight scene in a film, you want to have a short to show people. I get that, but I'm not that audience. I don't know if film festival attendees are that audience. I don't know. I'm sorry, I'm getting off on a tangent, but I hope you know what I mean when I say that the ease of accessibility now to making films has opened the door to just this oversaturation of just fluff.
I get what you mean. Because this is an art form that it's really meaningful to us. It's really important to us. Now, I think on the other hand, I completely agree that there's like content that's I don't even want to call, film or TV shows like content. There's media that is lesser. We've all seen it. I think on the other hand, that really just highlights someone like you, and you're a talented guy, and you stood out because what I saw. Otherwise, at the festival, I didn't really stay that long. I went for the panels and I saw like two, three shorts, but I mean, yours was head and shoulders over everyone else. And even like a bad short film, I can appreciate. Um, the most memorable ones, the ones I enjoyed the most when I was a judge, was um, the worst ones, just the silly ones. Like there was a World War II one where it was a battle, and I think the guys, it was like probably three actors, and they had crazy music like Ride of the Valkyries and all stuff playing,
Mm-hmm.
and they wore rubber masks, and they didn't even have like prop guns. I think they had sticks, and
Mm-hmm.
they used
Yeah.
like some kind of I can't remember the word off the top of my head, but they edited like gunfire
Mm-hmm.
coming out of the
FDR.
sticks, and they're doing like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
how you would pretend to play war as a kid.
Right, right.
Um, it was over 3 hours. I didn't watch all of it, but because
Gosh.
I didn't have to, that was
Oh,
optional.
you
But I was
had
like,
me until you said 3 hours.
but I was like 3 hours, and like there was a guy in a Trump mask, and he was like doing this extended riff. It was the most silly, absurd thing I'd really seen. Um, there was that one. There was like a mockumentary that was clearly just a group of friends running around with a camcorder. Um, and they're like pretending to be like an esports team. It's stuff like that these are objectively bad, but I'm happy they exist.
Uh-huh.
And
I
I
get what you're saying.
I wish they were like online because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes like I search for it because like, oh God, I want to, that was funny. I
Yeah.
want to see that again. But
Well, to your point, I saw one in a film festival, and the production was terrible, but it was so funny. I still remember it. That's the thing. Do you remember it? Like, how many films at film festivals do you remember? This one was about an annoying ghost. Their house was haunted, and the ghost didn't scare them; it just annoyed them. And
that's
there was no
funny.
CGI. It was just somebody with a white sheet over them and two holes, and that was hilarious to me. Like, embrace the low production. Don't try to trick me and make me think that you have high production value. If you don't have guns, use sticks. That's funny. That's memorable. You remember it. Now I'm going to remember it. Now I'm like, ooh, I'd really like to see that. I don't know if I want to see 3 hours of it. But
I didn't either.
yeah,
But and my other point too is like there was a quote from a film festival judge, I think at like Sundance or something. He was just bemoaning the 90s indie wave because he's like, we used to get interesting creative things, and then Wes Anderson joined the scene and Tarantino, and everything was just a
that's
rip
right. Yeah,
off.
I get
You
it.
know, we used to get a good crime movie from, some USC grad, but now the crime movies we get, they're just, the cops are talking about their favorite cereal or the movie they saw, and they're just clearly ripping off Pulp Fiction.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know. I think this has always been an issue. Like people want to um people are a little too inspired. Things are becoming
Yeah.
a little too postmodern. And I think that's probably been an issue for longer than, just the past 10 years or something.
I I I think I think one of my to that point about people trying to be a Tarantino, I think one of my biggest frustrations with some film festivals is this. Um, Sometimes you come across these films. I'm not a prude by any stretch of the imagination, but it's almost like frat boys making films where it's like, let's see if we can push the envelope with a bunch of f bombs and throwing dildos at people, and just disgusting, and almost like, okay, the envelope's already been pushed. You're good. We're not blown away now by all that. We're just annoyed by it. So things like that annoy me with again going back to what I was saying, how there's just an oversaturation of content, like um, and then to your point about you complimented my film being, the best one at that Sugar Hill Film Festival. I'm to the point where I don't want my work to be in a film festival where I'm the best one, you know. And I know that sounds like the opposite of the purpose of being in film festivals are, but I want I want my work to be seen in a crowd where mine's the worst one there, right? I want to make something so good and amazing that blows people away, but I want to put it like tonight. It's showing at the New York City International Independent Film Festival, and they've got like 200 films. It's like a 4 day event,
Wow.
and I know that mine is not going to be the best one, and that's what I want because I feel like if you if you just shoot for like the easy win, if you shoot for the festivals where oh, and I know I'm going to blow the competition away on this one. I mean, yeah, trophies are nice and $1,000 checks are nice too, believe me. But I don't know. It's like, am I growing? Like, I want to get my film in New York City, in LA. It's going to be in Long Beach this in August. I want to be. I want to be. Someone said you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, and so if you're spending your time around people who are uh, have less talent than you in regards to filmmaking, if that's your crowd, or I'm not saying friends, I'm not saying ditch friends if they're less talented, but people you work with, people you collaborate with. If you're the top dog in that group, you're not ever going to grow. So you need to be like the lowest dog in another group of collaborators and filmmakers, and then just by osmosis you're going to get better.
And who is someone that you'd love to collaborate with? Who's like a dream collaborator of yours?
I don't know. I don't really have. I'm not really like a. I don't really fan gush over anybody. Um, so I honestly I could not tell you. I guess I guess just because okay, I am a fanboy for Robert Rodriguez. So I guess, but see, I don't do action films. I don't have no interest in action films. I have no interest in writing them. That's what he does. Um, but he has such a unique shooting style, and that's another great thing about him. He writes it, he shoots it, he edits it. So um, I guess it would be him. I can't think of any
Well, you're a writer. Like, who's some like a director maybe? Like, oh, I wrote a script for, Spielberg or Lucas or
Hmm.
something.
Yeah. That's, I don't know.
Sure.
I really don't know. I do admire writers. Like if I watch a film and I enjoy the story, I find them online. That the if you remember the old movie Mystery Men had Ben Stiller in it, had Pee Wee Herman in it. It was about a group of wayward superheroes that they didn't really have that great of superpowers. Janine Garofalo was in it, but it's from the '90s. It's so '90s,
I
but
don't think I've seen that one.
it's hilarious. But at the time, I was writing a feature about a superhero who was in his 50s, and like just like us humans, when we grow older, we kind of lose some of our physical strength and physical abilities. He was starting to lose his superpowers, and the city mayor was just like, "You got to get out of here." And so it was kind of along that vein. And so I found the writer, and he and I have emailed back and forth just casually, but he told me some horror. And there was another writer for a film called um, Jesus in Cowboy Boots. No, that was the name of the book. It was based on it. The name of the movie was St- I forget something about Stardust. Nevertheless, he wrote a book called How Not to Make an Independent Film, an independent filmmaker's nightmare in Hollywood or something. So he wrote this script and spent 10 years going from producer to producer to producer, promises, 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 promises broken until he finally made it. He made the film, but it had like 20 producers. And these writers will all tell the same story. It's like it's nothing like what I wrote. I sold it to them. They changed everything, and it just kind of sucks now. And the Jesus and Cowboy Boots one should have been real gritty and dirty, and not dirty like nudity or whatever, but just sort of should have that gritty, dirty feel to it. But instead, it had this Disney polished feel to it. And yeah, after you look at the film credits, producer, 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 everybody had their little hands in it. And I guess that would be the only fear I would have, because when you if you're not someone who really enjoys writing, you think, oh, just write a script and sell it for $100,000. Who cares what they do to it? But there's some attachment you have. I mean, writing a feature, 90, 100 pages, you become like, I don't mean to sound sacrilege, but you become kind of like a god. Like you've created a world, and in your head, these people feel real to you. You laugh while you're writing. Sometimes you might cry. Sometimes you'll get angry because of what's happening, and it's all sort of happening without your control. And then to see it on screen, I imagine where you know, things are totally flipped up on their head. You're like, well, this isn't even my story anymore. And I can imagine how frustrating that could get. Um, I will say that I guess this is off topic, but there's one writer's story that I always find very inspirational. Um, and that's the movie The Cable Guy with Jim Carrey.
Yeah, I've never seen it, but I know it is.
It's a funny movie. It was produced by not Ben Affleck, Ben Stiller. It was produced by Ben Stiller, but the writer was a lawyer in Los Angeles, and he went to visit his mother, and he went to visit his mother like 8 o'clock at night or 9 o'clock at night, and there was a cable guy in the hallway of her apartment. He was like, "What in the world is the cable guy doing out here?" And so he just kind of mulled this idea over, and a lawyer, no writing experience, didn't go to film school, wrote a script called The Cable Guy, and it went through several evolutions. They were originally going to put Chris Farley in the role, but he sold it for $100,000, and now he has co-writer credit. Ben Stiller has the main writer credit, because when you sell your script to someone, when you sell it, that's not yours anymore, and so they're allowed to change whatever they want. Um, and he hasn't written anything since.
Wow.
Cannot find him on IMDb. I don't know if he's alive or dead anymore. But isn't that a cool story?
Yeah, he's a one-hit wonder.
Yeah, exactly.
You kind of get those in film, but I don't know. Like they always try to, um, strike lightning twice or whatever.
Oh
Like
yeah.
Gus Van Sant is a great um that's a great example because I mean he made an all-timer Good Will Hunting, but everything else he made, like he kept trying and he probably shouldn't have. I haven't seen his Psycho remake or anything, but
Right.
it's kind of rare when you just see like one guy make one thing. I've never seen Cable Guy. I do like Jim Carrey, but
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a good.
um,
It's a good movie. You need to check that out.
well, it looks like it's about closing time for the Rock Shop. Jameson, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah.
Is there anything you'd like to promote and where can the audience find you?
Well, a slideshow, as you know, some film festivals don't like it to be public online. So it is on YouTube, but it's a private link. So, and I don't have any hesitation showing people the private link if, they come to me and want to see it. Especially people like I had someone today ask to see it because it was in a showcase in Chattanooga Tuesday night, and they were there, but they came after mine had finished. So I wanted some of the locals to see that. But they can find me on YouTube, Jamison Brawley. It's Jamison, and my last name is Brally. And I've got my two other films, Hit on the Head and Night Mommy, out there. I've got some BTS films we made, making those. But yeah, in July we're shooting one called Best Kept Secret. It's about a couple who go furniture shopping or mattress shopping, and they test out the mattresses and they fall asleep on one, and then they wake up and the store is closed. They're locked in, and the PA system begins to manipulate them. I tell people it's 2001 Space Odyssey, but in a furniture store. So the PA system almost turns into like HAL 9000. Um, and on Instagram, you can find me at Director Jamison, all one word, Jamison. And I guess that's it. Yeah.
Cool. Well, again, Jameson, thanks so much for coming on. Until next time, see ya.
Take care.